Good afternoon, Year 9. Welcome to another lesson on Much Ado About Nothing. This time we're going to be exploring the role of fools in Shakespeare, obviously particularly in Much Ado About Nothing. But first of all, I want you to think about this do now. Dogberry. Think of adjectives and nouns to describe Dogberry, just for 5 minutes, and make a list. Our learning objective today is to explore the use and purpose of fools in Shakespeare's writing, and the title is Fools in Shakespeare. Just a quick check, you're going to need a copy of the extract from Act 4 Scene 2 and Act 5 Scene 1, both of which will be attached to class charts, access to YouTube and different coloured pens and highlighters. So just a little bit of reflection back over the play. What have been the funniest bits of the play for you so far? Some of you might prefer the clever wordplay of Beatrice and Benedict's arguments, or seeing them getting tricked, if you remember. Particularly, I do think that Benedict was particularly funny in that, because he's really so pompous, isn't he, that it was nice to see him taken down a peg or two, although he does take it well in the end. And some of you might prefer the silly behaviour of Dogberry and Verges, and the words they get confused over, more sort of straightforward clowning there, whichever suits your particular sense of humour. Just have a think about that. You don't need to write anything down. Right, watch the scene summary of Act 4 Scene 2, there's the link right there, and then the clip from the scene. Write your first impressions about this scene. What do Dogberry and Verges bring to the play? What is the point of them? Why has Shakespeare put these two clowns in there? I mean, they're important to the plot, obviously, to some degree, but they didn't have to be the clowns that they are. Why has he done that? Right, here is Dogberry in court. Conrad. Away, you are an ass, you are an ass. Dogberry. Dost thou not suspect my place? Dost thou not suspect my years? Oh, that he were here to write me down as ass. But, masters, remember that I am an ass, though it be not written down. Yet forget that I am an ass. Yet forget not that I am an ass. No, thou villain, thou art full of piety, as shall be proved upon thee by good witness. I am a wise fellow, and which is more, an officer, and which is more, a householder, and which is more, as pretty as a piece of flesh as any in Messina, and one that knows the law. Go to, and a rich fellow enough, go to, and a fellow that hath had losses, and one that hath had 2 gowns, and everything handsome about him. Bring him away. Oh, that I have been writ down an ass. He's insisting that the court, or what we call a stenographer now, the person who's writing down everything that goes down in the court, he's making sure that he writes down that he was called an ass. Or that he seems to be proud of it. After an infuriatingly silly courtroom scene, finally the sexton is able to get a simple summary across to the audience. This is what's going on. Prince John is this morning secretly stolen away. Hero is in this manner accused, in this very manner refused, and upon the grief of this suddenly died. Master Constable, let these men be bound and brought to Leonato's. I will go before and show them their examination. Dogberry is then insulted by Conrad, who is understandably frustrated with this nonsense, but it's too late for it to go in the court record. Dogberry wants to make sure nobody forgets what was said. He repeats it a lot. That's Dogberry repeating that he was an ass and trying to insist that it goes into the court record. Act 5 Scene 1, this plaintiff here, the offender, did call me an ass. Right, he will not let this go, Dogberry. He's one of the most irritating people you can imagine. So even when Leonato is telling the very important news of his daughter's innocence and the capture of the criminals, because remember they think that Hero's dead, Dogberry can't get allow of this injustice and wants to make sure that Leonato knows. Dogberry. Moreover, sir, which indeed is not under white and black, this plaintiff here, the officer, did call me ass. I beseech you, let it be remembered in his punishment. And also, the watch heard them talk of one deformed. They say he wears a key in his ear and a lock hanging by it, and borrows money in God's name, the which he has used so long and never paid, that now men grow hard-hearted and will lend nothing for God's sake. Pray you examine him upon that point. Leonato. I thank thee for thy care and honest pains. Dogberry. Your worship speaks like a most thankful and reverent youth, and I praise God for you. Leonato. There's for thy pains. Dogberry. God save the foundation. Leonato. Go, I discharge thee of the prisoner, and I thank thee. Dogberry. I leave an arrant knave with your worship, which I beseech your worship to correct yourself for the example of others. God keep your worship. I wish your worship well. God restore you to health. I humbly give you leave to depart, and if a merry meeting may be wished, God prohibit it. Come, neighbour. Exit Dogberry and Verges. So basically what he's done there is he's arrested the relevant people, Dogberry and brought them to court, and Leonardo can't wait to get rid of him because he just keeps nonsense about having been called an ass and he wants it put into the court record. Okay, Act 4, Scene 2 and Act 5, Scene 1 are full of more malapropisms from Dogberry. If you can't remember what that is, go back and look in the previous lesson where we talked about it. Can you find them? 12 minutes for that, please. Right, Dogberry and Verges are crucial to the comedy of Much Ado About Nothing. To what extent do you agree? It's an evaluative task coming up, you've probably guessed. Write down your answers to plan an answer for this question, and I've given you some ideas there. You've got 3 different approaches you could take. Yes, they're crucial to the comedy because, and I've listed some things there. No, they're not needed for the comedy because, I've said there. And no, they're needed for the comedy but, and I've given you some ideas there as well. Here is the task that I want you to upload onto Classcarts for me, please. Year 9. Dogberry and Verges are crucial to the comedy of Much Ado. To what extent do you agree with this statement? So the first thing you always start off with is an evaluative statement. You know, I partially agree or I partially disagree. Use the ideas from the plan on the previous page if you need to. Well, I would use them. Write at least 1 paragraph to answer this question. Make sure you've included evidence. And that's the piece of work I want you to upload onto Classcarts, please, Year 9. Well done, and I will speak to you next time. Thank you.